Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chowdhury. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Thursday, the 28th of April. India completes navigation system with launch of 7 satellite. US Senate puts F-16 deal with Pakistan on hold, says the fighter jets might be used against India. And Nepal's political parties launch fresh Madhesi agitation. And now for all the details. Indian President Pranab Mukherjee on Thursday arrived in Papua New Guinea with a focus on developing strong bilateral relations with the Pacific Island nations. This is the first ever visit by an Indian head of state since India established diplomatic ties with the country in 1975. India and Papua New Guinea are likely to sign agreements in the fields of health, agriculture and information technology. Papua New Guinea, the largest Pacific Island nation, is home to about 2,500 Indians. On his arrival, President Mukherjee visited the Bomana War Cemetery to pay respect to soldiers killed during World War II. President Mukherjee will leave for New Zealand in April 29. The Indian Space Research Organisation or ISRO on Thursday launched its 7th and final navigation satellite of the Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System or IRNSS into orbit. With this, India entered a select group of nations possessing their own satellite navigation systems.
India completed its landmark mission for a regional navigational system with the successful launch of IRNSS-1G, the 7th and last in the constellation of satellites that make up the GPS system. The flawless launch of IRNSS-1G marks a big milestone for the Indian Space Research Organisation or the ISRO, as it lists India among the 5 nations that have their own navigation system. Terming the system NAVIC, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauded the scientists and stated that with the successful launch, India will determine its own paths powered by its technology.
आज तक हम जीपीएस सिस्टम के लिए अन्य देशों की व्यवस्थाओं पर निर्भर थे। आज हम आत्मनिर्भर बने हैं। हमारे रास्ते हम तय करेंगे। कैसे जाना, कहां जाना, कैसे पहुंचना, यह हमारी अपनी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से होगा। और इसलिए भारत के वैज्ञानिकों ने आज 125 करोड़ देशवासियों को एक अनमोल तोहफा दिया है।
When the IRNSS-1G becomes operational in about a month's time, the Indian navigation system would offer services like terrestrial and marine navigation, disaster management, vehicle tracking and fleet management, navigation aid for hikers and travelers, visual and voice navigation for drivers.
Moving on. A dozen of laser walls have been made operational along the India-Pakistan international border in India's northern Punjab province to plug the porous riverine and treacherous terrain and keep an effective vigil against intruders and terrorists exploiting the frontier areas to cross border. While 8 infrared and laser beam intrusion detection systems are up and working along as many vulnerable and sensitive areas of the international border in Punjab, 4 more will be operationalized in the next few days, Indian authorities said. The decision to install these laser walls was taken 2 years ago, but authorities sped the activation of these walls along the border after the Pathankot terror attack this January, where it has been suspected that terrorists crossed over from Pakistan by breaching the border in Punjab. US Senate has raised concern over F-16 fighter jets deal with Pakistan during a congressional hearing on Afghanistan and Pakistan. They fear the fighter jets might be used against India.
Top US lawmakers expressed concern over the US government's decision to sell 8 F-16 Fighting Falcon aircraft to Pakistan, saying the aircraft could be used against India and not in combating terrorism. Many members of Congress, including me, seriously question the judgment and timing of such a sale. Additionally, Indo-Pak tensions remain elevated and some question whether the F-16s could ultimately be used against India or other regional powers rather than the terrorists as Pakistan has asserted, Congressman Matt Salman said during a congressional hearing on Wednesday. The lawmakers want the administration to clarify the underlying purpose of the deal and how this would be in the US national interest. The US Senate has currently put a hold on the decision to sell the fighter jets to Pakistan at an estimated cost of $700 million.
Employees in Pakistan-administered Kashmir are up in arms as there is open bias while employing people. 8 public sector workers held a sit-in protest against a callous attitude meted out to them. A report.
8 government employees in the illegally occupied region of Pakistan-administered Kashmir sat in protest against the illegal termination of their jobs. They have threatened to set themselves on fire if they are not respectfully returned their positions.
कल परसों 1 तारीख तो आर्डर जारी कर छोड़े असां पोस्टां के खिलाफ कि जी ये मतलब ये पोस्टां खाली हैं असां जड़ा है ना नवे बंदे लाने सारे बंदे नवे ला सटे सारे 8 आदमी असीं जड़े सारे बैठे देने थे 18 साल 16 साल 15 साल 10 साल इस तरह सारे वो आते हैं मैरिट ते बंदे नहीं आए जबकि असीं 12 साल तो सैकटरी नाल डिप्टी करते हैं इन्होंने सुने मौकफ बयान किया कि जी ये लोग जड़े हैं ना मैरिट ते नहीं आ सके तो जनाब अगर 12-15 साल वाला बंदा मैरिट ते नहीं आ सके नवा बंदा पहले दिन आला इन्होंने मैरिट ता आंदा है.
With no other means to support their family, the workers are left with the only option to fight for their rights. The employees allege that the merit list does not feature the names of 8 people that have replaced them, citing corruption in the hiring process of the administration.
तो सर अपनी मन मर्जी का बंदे भर्ती करने वास्ते पोस्टां चाह भेज छोड़ी सर सरस तो सरस वाले सर इश्तेहार दिता उसकी रोशनी भी देना अपने बंदे ला का 8 दे 8 असा नाल इतना जुल्म होया सर कि असा को 8 विचों एक बंदा भी ना सुन एडजस्ट नहीं किया.
Discontent among public sector employees is common in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Instead of addressing their problems, both local and federal governments have turned a blind eye towards them.
Years of conflicts and underdevelopment in the country has forced many Afghan children to work in illegal but lucrative opium trade. Despite Afghanistan government efforts to eliminate child labor and the illegal trade, not much difference can be seen on the ground. A report.
In the run-up to the major poppy harvest in May and June, 13-year-old Naqibullah is out on his family field in remote Pash district of Zari in Afghanistan's southern province Kandahar to help his father prepare for the big harvest. He's not the only child as his 6-year-old cousin Nazir is also toiling on the family field, peeling and collecting sticky resin. These resins are destined for the world market in various forms of drugs including heroin and opium. According to the US Department of Labor's 2014 list of goods produced by child labor or forced labor, opium production is one of the major sectors that rely on child labor in Afghanistan. This is largely due to lack of proper educational institutions in the war-torn country. According to reports, the violence has prompted the partial or full closure of more than 369 schools last year, affecting lives of more than 139,000 children. Even though growing poppy for opium is illegal in Afghanistan, farmers have largely ignored government warnings and continue cultivation, blaming years of war and instability. They argue that it is the only lucrative work that can feed their families. On the other hand, Afghan government claims that efforts to eradicate poppy fields are on full swing and results are gradually showing on the ground.
مش په دوامدار ډول د مواد مخدرو سره د مبارزې د وزارت سره په تماس کې یو ترڅو دوی دغه د مصارفاتو په برخه کې امکانات هر څونه ژر ولایت انتقال کړي ترڅو زموږ د کمپاین پیل سي د نه پیل اصلي علت د وزارت ضعف او نه رسیدګي ده.
Afghanistan's poppy fields supply more than 90% of the world's heroin. Opium production is also considered one of the major sources of funding for Afghan Taliban.
Moving on to news from Nepal. An alliance of 27 political parties took out a peaceful march at the country's southern city of Birgunj on the first day of the new phase of Madhesi protests. The protesters presented a 26-point memorandum to district administration officers listing the demands of the ethnic Madhesi community. Leaders have warned that they will launch massive and intensified protests in the area if their demands are not met. The Madhesis have been demanding equal representation in the new constitution of Nepal. They had launched a massive agitation against the new constitution in September, which lasted for 6 months, resulting in an acute fuel and essential products crisis in Nepal, almost bringing the country to a standstill. The 6th season of popular American fantasy drama Game of Thrones released this weekend, much to the excitement of its fans. But what has caught the fancy of its lovers is a new rendition of the theme song that has been covered by Mumbai artists lending an Indian touch.
Mumbai-based artist Karan Chitra Deshmukh has covered the title track of the Game of Thrones. Deshmukh played the iconic theme song on a string of traditional Indian drums. A video which he posted on social media has gone viral on the internet.
मेरा एक कजिन है जो बहुत बड़ा फैन है गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स का, अब वो यूके में रहता है अभी। तो उसने एक दिन ऐसे ही फेसबुक पे मैसेज किया कि 2 दिन पहले रिलीज होने के, तो उसने कहा कि तू ट्राई कर, अगर तबला कवर हो सकता है ये गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स थीम का। तो मैंने सुना और मुझे थीम बहुत पसंद आया।
Deshmukh has become instant hit among youngsters and is gaining followers on social media.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India completes navigation system with launch of 7th satellite. The US Senate puts F-16 deal with Pakistan on hold, says a fighter jet might be used against India. And Nepal's political parties launch fresh Madhesi agitation. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.